Shirley, wherever you are. Thank you. Shirley, thank you. That was beautiful. Beautiful. So, when you come to the center, your life gets better. It gets better in myriad ways. One of the ways that we are focusing our consciousness and attention on our lives getting better is by establishing freedom. So I invite you, if you want freedom in your life, join in. If you don't, you're probably not going to want to stay much longer anyway. So let's join in our treatment for freedom together. I speak my word for myself, my center, and all its members and friends. I know love as the only reality. I am created out of love. Love is what I am. I know this love as absolute freedom in every area of my life, the life of my center, and all who call it home. I know our center's mortgages are paid in full, and I claim for all of us financial freedom with all debts paid and cleared. I release any sense of struggle or wrongdoing. I live in an abundant universe where there is more than enough for all. We experience freedom in every moment by always having more than enough money, vibrant health, and loving relationships. We are who we have come here to be. With hearts open wide, we see the world through the eyes of love. We are blessed. We are rich, and we are free, and so it is. And we practice our points of power. I always pay attention. I always tell the truth and tell it quickly. I always ask for what I want when I want it. I always take total responsibility for my experience. I always keep my agreements. And so it is. Wonderful, wonderful. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As I said earlier, John is out in California, and if you weren't here last week, I think that was by far one of the best talks he has ever given. So check it out online and get some tissues, not because you're going to cry, but because you're going to laugh until you cry. And I was talking to him last night, I think it was, and I said, well, I think the talk that's come to me this week is called Lighten Up. And then I laughed and said, and people are probably going to think that that's my answer to your talk last week. Really where it comes from is the Monday night class. And those of you who are not in the Monday night class, it's different from any other class I've ever taught. It's mostly process. And it is, it takes about almost 45 minutes after the break while we go under. And people shared with me that they were much farther under than they realized by the time they left. And one person couldn't feel their legs. Another person lost the road while they were driving home and things like that. So we go really under and it's dark. And then I start almost like a mantra, repeating these positive affirmations about who we are. And afterwards, we all came back and the lights were on and I thought everybody was grounded and back in their bodies. And they shared what that was like. And people shared how much they felt like they had been washed clean. How they felt like they had a do-over in life. How they felt like they had a second chance to start again. And I thought, that's beautiful and that's wonderful. And how much stuff are we carrying around with us that puts us in a position where someone just for less than 12 minutes is telling you that you're perfect and you're precious and you're whole and you're complete and you're made of the love and come from the light and that all is well, would allow us to have such a profound shift. And I don't want not to have the shifts, I do. But what I want us to do is lighten up. And as I look around at my world, what I see is that we can take this teaching and frame it in the other masochistic, psychological processes that perhaps we had before we came into this teaching, and simply now turn being on the spiritual path into the stick that drives us, into the internal conversation that says, I'm not good enough, I'm not doing it right, I haven't mastered it, I'm never going to get this, I have to hide who I am and plant this phony baloney smile on my face because Barbara's always saying it's a happy day and I'm afraid of her, so if I don't smile, if I don't smile, then, you know, I'm not going to be welcome here, and all of this stuff, and I'm wondering, what can we do to allow ourselves to open up to the original premise of science of mind, which is that there is only one, that spirit is manifest in and as each of us right here and right now, and that all is well. That we are powerful beings of love and light, alive and well on planet Earth. We are exactly where we need to be, doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing. And instead, we seem to create havoc. Not you guys, just some people create havoc. I am powerful, I will create havoc. And I think that we would be better served if we could just lighten up. John's at Guidance Center this morning, and the minister before my good friend Nirvana Gale was named Dan Morgan. And so I will give credit where credit is due. One of the things that Dan Morgan used to say all the time was, smile. It'll raise your face value. Lighten up. Lighten up in life, because when we take everything so seriously, when we are, as Deepak would say, outer referenced, then we think we need everything to go exactly the way we thought it was going to go for us to be okay. And instead, we can ride it through life and be okay with the changes that happen, the people that don't show up, the things that are surprises for us. We are God in form as us, and we're going to let one little item determine our well-being, our welfare. That's absurd. And yet we convince ourselves that we are not powerful, creative, spiritual beings alive and well on planet Earth. We convince ourselves that we need this to be exactly that way or we're not going to be okay. And then we do what so many people on the planet do. We go nuts. We go a little crazy. And I have a personal thought on that. I think that there are a lot of us that are addicted to adrenaline. And so we create circumstances so we can have a little chemical factory, like a little meth lab going on in our brain. And we create something to get upset about, and then because of the biochemical reactions, we get a hit. We get a hit of adrenaline. We get a hit of anger. We get a hit of upset. We get a hit of freak out. And that feeds us somehow in a very destructive way. And so what I would like to recommend that we do is before we go down that road, we lighten up. Everything in our life is cause and effect. Effect. And when we change our affect, the way we feel, the way we react in life, we change our effect. We change the cause that is set in motion and results in an experience. Now this is a pure barbarism, so stay with me here. When we change our affect, we change our effect. That's big. Why do I keep trying to convince you to be happy? Because if you convince yourself, if you even just pretend, if you just go around and smile and say, this is the stupidest thing, well, Barbara says it'll affect my face value, so I will. It gives you happy experiences in life. And when you have happy experiences in life, sooner or later you're going to have a happy life. You just can't help it. So when we change our affect, we change our effect. We don't trigger off that limbic brain and that fight or flight response. We don't go into reaction instead of creation. We are the captains of our ship. We create our destiny because we have a handle on what we're thinking and feeling. Now, if you're going to have a handle on what you're thinking, think about what you're thinking about. Just because you thought something doesn't mean it's true. Stay with me here. Just because you thought something doesn't mean it's true. Think about what you're thinking about. If you thought about something that you've been thinking about for decades and it has always worked out in suffering for you, consider not thinking that anymore. Just because it runs through your head doesn't mean you're married to it. Break up. Say, no, I want to see other thoughts. I hate the thought feeling a little bit. Think about what you're thinking about, and if you don't want to live it out, stop. And lighten up. The universe delights in supporting you. You are precious. You are perfect. Just the way you are. Not once you've done this or gotten that or had this experience. You are perfect just the way you are. We take a neutral event and we forget that we're perfect and we get afraid and we create drama and trauma. We had an incident out here in our parking lot, and I would like to just use this as a commercial. If you're going to leave your car in our parking lot, please tell us. Better yet, ask us, and then we'll put it somewhere where it's safe and we'll know that it belongs to you. We had someone who was here and there was a car in the parking lot for a couple of days. They didn't know whose it was, and they chose that moment to allow themselves to be afraid of a car. It's just a car. It's just a car. It's not running. Nobody's in it. No dogs in it. Nothing. Just a car that was left out here. And because of that fear, they called the police. This was late at night, and that car, that bad car. Oh, car. They called the police. I wasn't in town. And so the police came and they checked all the doors, and something that's probably not uncommon here, one of the doors was not locked correctly. However, the alarm was set. And so the police came in thinking, well, there's a car, there's an open door, there might be a problem here. They came in, and as they went through every room, they set off the motion sensors, which set the alarm off. And I am the first call of the alarm company. So I came out of a sound sleep. Do you need assistance? Well, I don't know. I'm not there. I can't even look out of the window to see if something's happening. I'm not there, so I don't know. Every room that they went into triggered off a separate alarm. And so there was another call. Now, I could have done that. I could have worked myself up into being afraid of something, and God knows I have. But look at how we do this, and go ahead and own it to yourself. A neutral event, and we label it, and we start putting our energy into it. We start building it into something that could hurt us. We get fired. Somebody leaves us. We get a flat tire. Somebody says boo, and we jump. I've done that to all of those things. We put our energy into that event, and then we create the experience, not of the event. It was just a car. But we create our experience of what we put in it. We did that. There was another incident, and this is all I will say about our vacation. And I told John I was going to say this, but one of the, on the way to the airport, when I flew back for 2 Sundays ago, John was taking me to the airport, and we stopped by Dick's Sporting Goods because we're doing all of that stuff, and came back out to the car and couldn't find his keys. Couldn't find his keys. Now, luckily, we have OnStar, which I think is the greatest thing. And so you call OnStar, and they unlock your doors, thinking that his keys were in the truck. But he couldn't find his keys. Now, by now, he's taken a neutral event called I Can't Find My Keys and put all of this energy into it. I'm going to miss my plane. Life is conspiring against me with boats and now trucks. All of this stuff. And there was a bit of craziness going on. And then he found his keys. One thing John does is when he's down in Florida, he has a completely different wardrobe. And he has Misha the tailor make him these very comfortable, flowing pants and shirts that he wears so that he can still feel like he's on the beach, even if he's walking around. And he didn't have pockets in those, so he just tucked his keys in the waistband of his pants. He found his keys. Now, what I would like us to do is to simply use these ideas to see how we do that. Every time I lose my phone, every time I lose my keys, every time people don't show up like they said they were going to show up, what am I going to do? Lighten up. Lighten up, Barbara. The world does not stop because of keys, because of cars, because of people, because of phones, because of whatever. We create our reality based on how we see that event. And if we can get a hold of our affect, we can not only change our effect, but we can never have to go down that road. If someone doesn't do what you thought they should do, whether it's your significant other, whether it's your family, whether it's people that you work with, whether it's people in politics, if they don't do what you think they ought to do, lighten up. Lighten up. What did the dog do? It was true to their nature as a dog. That's what they did. Lighten up. And when you bring it all the way around full circle to where you're looking at yourself in the mirror, what did you do? Lighten up. Maybe you did it when you were a kid. Lighten up. Maybe you did it when you were a crazy teenager or a young adult. Lighten up. Maybe you did it yesterday. Lighten up. Because if we can lighten up, we can open up. So many times people say, my life isn't working and I'm holding on tight. I still have this idea of no pain, no gain. This idea that I need to be punished to be able to accept the bounty of life. Lighten up. There is no concept of deity anywhere that wants you to hurt or struggle or not have what you want. That's you. That's not life. That's not spirit. The only thing that spirit is doing is saying, can I give this to you? Can I give this to you? Can I give this to you? You've been wanting it all your life. Here it is. Can I give this to you? Lighten up. And if you lighten up, you will open up. And as you open up, you will be able to receive. So lighten up. Open up. Say yes. We are the ones who are in charge of that critical moment of deciding what will happen. Every event in life is neutral. We place value on it. I think it was Shakespeare who said, nothing is good nor bad, but thinking makes it so. Everything is neutral. And you can't say, well, I've practiced this, I've done this before, I've, live and learn, I'm older and wiser, because really what just happens for most people is they just get older. There's a second before the reaction happens. It's a second where you're still in creation and not reaction. It's a second before the limbic brain takes over and a fight or flight response that floods you with chemicals hits. And it's that second that you want to take a breath. Because if you take a breath, you will stop that whole biochemical reaction. You'll take a breath and think, is this true? Is this just a random thought of fear that came through my head? Do I have to take it? Is it really valid? Is this my intuitive guidance, or is this just craziness? Question yourself. Is this true? Or is this just one more dance that I'm going to do to try to have myself not have the life that I want? Lighten up. Nothing is important. The only thing that's important is love and joy and happiness. No thing is important. Our state is important. Our responses to life is important. Whatever has happened before is in the past. There's only the now moment. I just think we should take a motto for the next year of lighten up. Just let it go. Lighten up. Be in the now moment. Have a happy day. Have life work. Because the more that we can lighten up, the more that we can open up, the more that life can give us everything that we've ever wanted. The key is to lighten up. And so it is. Thank you. And now I'd like to